Hey fam, it's your girl Aimee J, your personal hype man and friend, here today on this Wednesday, January 29th, 2020, wanting to check in and see how are you doing. We are almost at the end of the first month of the decade, of the year, and that can have some people feeling a little stressed. And some of y'all are carrying over stress from 2019, so I can't imagine the stress level you're feeling. I wanted to talk to you guys about what to do when you're feeling this way. When you're feeling like the tide is rising and you're just trying to keep afloat, right? You're not trying to drown. Things are just going out of control. And somewhere along the line, you've lost stability. Somewhere along the line, you've lost control of what's happening. This works for most people. For those it doesn't work, you need to figure out what works for you. But in the meantime, try this. Okay, try this. I want you to write down what you're feeling. Unedited, unapologetically, just write it down. Just write it down. What is causing it? What are you feeling? How is it making you feel? Who's involved? Just write it down. Journal it. That's what it is essentially. Just journal your feelings. It's cathartic to kind of get it out and not keep it bottled inside. That's what I want you to do. I want you to take it out from inside of you, put it on paper, put it on the computer screen, not in a post publicly for people to go and freak out like, oh my gosh, what's going on? She's just blasted all these people. Don't do that. That's not helpful. But in a personal diary of your own, if you have a Evernote or OneNote or some kind of journal you're using, Live Journal or something that's private for you to keep your own thoughts and for your own personal reflection, put it in that. If you have a notebook, if you have a journal, if you have something that you can write in, let it out there. And then take a moment, reflect, relax, relate, release, and just let it out. Okay? Try that. See if that doesn't help you. It has helped me in the past, and I'm hoping it'll help you. The biggest thing otherwise is people who feel that they have too many things going on and they don't know where to begin. They don't even remember everything they have going on. And then they start getting flustered and frustrated because they got all this stuff. And where did they start? And what else have I forgotten? And what can do? When's it due? Oh my gosh. That's the feeling they get. In that situation, what I want you to do is take a sheet of paper. It's usually better with paper, guys, than with digital, but you could do it with a notepad or something like that, notes or something. I just want you to write down every task you have to do, even the smallest kind of thing. Make my bed, brush my teeth, whatever. Just write it down, right? If it's a project, write every task that you have to do with that project right now that's making you feel like you don't have enough time in the world. Just write it down. Okay, don't stop. Just write. Write. Don't think about what's more important than the other. Just write everything down in non-sequential order. Just let it out, right? Once you have all of those tasks written, I want you to then put a due date down by the side of it. I tend to have a slight OCD tendency, so I like to keep it on the left so everything's aligned because the right will be jagged because of how long your tasks are. So I would write it on the left and leave a little space on the left, because then what you're going to do is I want you to put a number by the tasks that are due the earliest, the soonest, the things that are of a higher priority, right? And then go on back and forth. If something has the date is like 2 years from now or something, that should be the last thing, right? So dates that are further down the line should get a later date, a later number. And those that are due sooner should get an earlier number. So you're essentially ordering your tasks by due date from earliest to latest. Now, that's like step one was just writing it without any order. Step 2 is putting down the due dates. Step 3 is ordering by due date. Step 4 is looking at and then ordering it by priority, right? So typically, ordering things by chronological date makes sense, but there are going to be a few exceptions that are higher priority but may have a later due date. If that's the case, if you feel you need to do something earlier, then I want you to cross out a number and move it up, rearrange it so that it makes sense. But once you see the list on a piece of paper, use notebook paper, use a lined Excel sheet, whatever you got to do, use a task organizer. There's Todoist, there's Things, there's so many others. Find the one that works for you. I will not have links to those apps on my thing. Just I mentioned them because it's hard to find what people like. So just kind of Google task lists, to-do lists, and things like that. You'll find something that works for you, and you'll feel better once you actually see the problem at hand. You'll see what's causing you anxiety, and then the best part, guys, the last thing you do after you complete a task, cross it out with joy and a smile on your face because you got it done, right? This will help you kind of keep track of the things that are festering in your mind, the things that you have to do that you may have forgotten, that slipped your mind, and then there was a word that triggered it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. I got to do that. Keep a list, and let it carry over into the next day until you actually finish it. And sometimes you got to scratch the list because you got so many crossed out. Just redo the same process, all right? If you couldn't keep track of everything I said, I wrote it down in the show notes, which is in the description of the podcast episode. Check it out there. All right. And just as FYI, guys, we are now on YouTube. Also, subscribe. It's aimeej21.com/YouTube. I think the notes should be there, but it's still so new. I'm not sure. But do that, okay? Because it's okay to be overwhelmed. Just remember, you don't have to stay there in that moment of overwhelm. You can get out of it, okay? Because you are important. You are worthy. And you are so awesome, and you have so many things to do because of how awesome you are, that it's important that you handle it. And it's important that you get a grasp on it so that you control the things that are due and it doesn't control you. Okay? So that's kind of what I'm going for and want you to be aware of. All right? So keep that in mind, guys, because you're too important to let disorganization throw you off and make you feel unworthy or like you have a loss of control. You can do it. All right? You can do it because you are awesome. You are loved. You are needed. And most importantly, you are enough as you are, just the way you are. Okay? So until next time, which is tomorrow, when we check back in, don't forget, guys, don't stop. Keep chasing.